Dear friends, first of all, let me thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you did to celebrate my birthday for me. Best birthday I've ever had. In very quick succession, you will now hear and see a total of 4 statements from me. I'll start today by explaining to you why the transnational deep state, which is running most of the EU countries and many but not all countries in the Western Hemisphere, for example, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, but not the US anymore, why this transnational deep state had me abducted in Mexico and put behind bars in Germany. My second statement will explain my view of what's been going on in Iran and the Middle East, including Israel. My third statement will summarize for you a brand new version of my civil complaint, including now a motion for a preliminary injunction and why this should now lead to the end of this fake criminal trial against me and my immediate release from prison by the end of this month or the latest by early June. The fourth statement is one that will not really leave you wondering if it is AI generated or real. As you have seen already, this fake case against me has from the very beginning been a clear-cut case of political persecution, which is a crime to shut me up for good. This will become even clearer in a moment. But first, let us take a look at 2 newspapers, one from Germany and one from Canada. The first paper, called Democratic Resistance, whose editors visited me only a couple of months ago, has me and the allegedly ultra-corrupt puppet president of the EU on its front page. It shows me on the left in a suit I was wearing at the hearings in courts with my hands handcuffed behind bars. And it shows the EU president surrounded by syringes, because that's what she is being investigated for: corruption in connection with her purchasing the neither safe nor effective COVID shots from Pfizer and BioNTech for the EU countries. The headline reads, "Is this right? He has been in the slammer for 15 months. Now it's more than 30 months. She is still in office." The second picture is of an article in the Canadian resistance paper Druthers from its July 2021 issue, page 10. The headline reads, "Lawyers and medical experts start legal proceedings against WHO and world leaders for crimes against humanity." Its introduction depicts me as a kind of front man for these proceedings. I don't think that any more explaining is necessary for anyone to understand why people like Mrs. von der Leyen, Albert Bourla of Pfizer, Bill Gates, and everyone else involved in pushing the shots and thereby killing and maiming millions and millions of people. You know, as of 2022, 20 million dead from the shots and 2.4 billion people suffering serious side effects because of the shots. Why these people had every reason to stop me, but not one that would have been legal. Just so that there will be no doubt left whatsoever, check the third batch of pictures which I used for my presentation on the Crimes Against Humanity tour in the spring of 2022 that my friend Patrick Wood and Dr. Judy Mikovits and I were on. I got these pictures from my colleague Tom Renz, who got them from, I believe, 3 whistleblowing military doctors who later presented them to Senator Ron Johnson, who, if I'm correct, is himself a medical doctor in a Senate hearing. The first picture or slide shows a breathtaking surge of all kinds of diseases right after the start of the vaccine campaign. Keep in mind, these are mostly young and physically very fit people. If this is what happened to them in the military, does anyone believe that it was and is any better among the general population? The second set of pictures shows you how devastating these COVID shots worked on the members of the military as opposed to what happened during the years leading up to the injection campaign. That's the reality you see in the top part of these images below. You can see how the DoD, the Department of Defense, manipulated the charge in order to make it look as though the COVID shots had either no negative effect or even had a positive effect. We will show all this and much more in the upcoming legal investigations and trials with the help of many, many real experts. But there is another extremely interesting, and for this fake legal proceeding against me, highly relevant picture of me that I had forgotten about and whose context has only now come to my attention through a friend from Mexico. It explains why the director of the migration agency in Tijuana and another officer whom he had called to help translate what he said, I believe his deputy, had been so very friendly to me and my wife, and even apologized for what they were forced to do. Neither of them knew why we had been detained and then brought to the migration agency. And both of them, plus the honorary counsel, whom I had called, told us that they were just following orders from the German embassy. My wife Inka reminded me that the officer who we believed to be the director's deputy had at one point disappeared into another room to fetch a fax, and then told me that I had a problem in Germany which I should take care of and then come back to Mexico so that we could all have dinner together. But he didn't know what kind of problem that was. Then the director asked me if I minded if he took a picture of me with his private cell phone. I said I didn't and sat down on a metal bench. I was just now made aware of the fact that he then sent his photo to a Mexican newspaper who used it for an article that was very positive, almost flattering to me, describing my international legal activities against global corporations, and then explaining about my work criticizing the corona measures, and that I was going to sue WHO and many others, and that because of this, the German authorities had me detained and were waiting for my extradition. And it said that the Germans had told the Mexicans that this was because of a fraud I had committed. But the article carefully phrased by emphasizing that I was, of course, innocent until proven guilty, that this was most likely a fake charge. This leaves absolutely no doubt that the deportation order was indeed fake, as has always been obvious, because there had never been a deportation proceeding with a fair hearing for me. This article, which is based on the info from the migration agency, spells it out. It was indeed the Germans who had me abducted without any proceeding whatsoever, neither an extradition nor a deportation proceeding, and who wanted this abduction either framed as a deportation or an extradition when it was neither. This now plays a very important role in my civil case. You get the idea, right? That's why I was abducted and incarcerated. And that's why the deep state and its puppets in Göttingen first stole the money that I was going to use to pay back a perfectly legal loan, and then filed a fake criminal complaint against me, accusing me of not paying back the loan and having spent it all on a luxurious life. These monsters will not get away with this, not one of them. And that's because of us and because of the higher power that has been keeping us afloat over the past 6 years. And that is now helping us rise to the challenge. And this challenge is one that Thomas Jefferson framed with these words: when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. That's enough for today's statement, except for a couple of jokes. Here's the first one. The only mystery in life is why kamikaze pilots wore helmets. The second one, my mother told me not to worry about spelling because in the future there will be autocorrect, and for that I'm eternally grapefruit. The last one goes like this. Do you all remember before the internet that people thought the cause of stupidity was the lack of access to information? Yeah, it wasn't that. I see you all in real life very, very soon now.